Hello and welcome to this tutorial on Folion. If you're new here, Folion is my Windows file assistant designed to make working with documents fast and intuitive. Instead of digging through folders or opening files up one by one to try to find what you want to see, Folion lets you search, explore, and ask natural questions about your files to instantly understand what's going on inside them. And also, the neat thing about Folion is that it processes your files completely locally. Therefore, they stay on your machine and aren't uploaded anywhere so that your files are always safe and secure. To get started, you want to come here to www.folionapp.com. The link will be in the description, of course, and you will be met with this landing page. And here you can explore the different features of the app, and don't worry about this right here. It will be replaced by the video that you're watching right now when you come here. And yeah, you have different videos and cards explaining sort of the different features that we have. But if you come all the way down here, you can actually come to the part where you acquire Folion. Or of course, you can go to the downloads page and you end up doing the exact same thing. So right now we have 3 different cards where they differ by the number of chats we have per month. So for example, here we have approximately 750. And I say approximately because the actual number is based on a token count, which you will see in the app. And this is based on a conservative estimate, so in most cases you will end up with actually more than this number of chats, but this is approximately correct. You may have also noticed that Standard Book does not have thinking mode, whereas the other ones do. And this is just an extra search feature that allows for better responses at the cost of slightly more time to think, as well as a little higher token cost. But it does give you more refined answers. So for our purposes, let's just go forward with Advanced. So here we have 2 cards here for returning users and new users. Returning obviously meaning that if you already have the app, say you're licensed right now and you want to get a new one, you come here. But in our case, we're going to be a new user because we don't have Folion yet. So we come here, we end up in the Stripe portal. And if you don't know Stripe, it is one of the most trusted payment vendors that there are. So none of this information is kept by me. It's all processed through Stripe, so you don't have to worry about that. So here I'm gonna put my payment information in and we'll see what happens. Okay, so now that I put my information in, I'm gonna press pay. And we end up back in my website with this successful page. So your download should start automatically. I'm not sure if mine did, but if yours does not, you could always click this button here and it works. But yeah, it does seem that mine did go automatically anyways. So there's a few bits of information here. The first being the license expiry date, or of course when your tokens run out, it would be when you'd have to renew your license. And this is very important here that you should not lose or share this key that you're about to see here. So this key essentially is how you activate the app. Without it, you cannot use anything. So it's very important that you have this key available to you and you don't distribute it in any way. You can only activate it once, and once activated, that's it. So I'm going to copy my key here. And since that downloaded, I'm going to go to my downloads folder. And here's my installer. So here we just have a regular installing wizard. And I'm just going to follow the steps. And give it a minute or two, and you'll have Folion downloaded on your device. So as you can see here, now the installation is completed. And you press next here. And I'm going to create a desktop shortcut and run Folion upon finish. So here we have the initial opening, or just the opening in general. This is the splash screen. Okay, so now we've opened the app, and get close to this guide for a second. You see the activation modal here, and here we quite simply just paste the activation token that we got from the website when we bought our license. And as you can see, we've activated successfully and now are in the main application. And now here we have the main app, or rather what you would see when you open the app every other time. That activation modal you saw, that would only appear when your license is either expired or you ran out of tokens and you need to renew your license then. So here we can start with the guide. I think you already saw that, as it does pop up by itself when you open the app. And this is just a more concise version of what you'll learn in this video. So you can refer to this whenever you'd like. We also have the settings here, which contain color changing. I personally prefer dark mode, but if you'd like, you could also change to light mode. But for this video, let's just stay in dark mode. We have the token usage, which is what is advertised on the website for what you get for your license. And also we have the expiry date and the status of the server that's being run for Folion. So now let's get into the main functionality of the app itself. So let's go pick a folder. I'm going to pick my desktop here. And give it a few seconds to sort of build this file display. And here we have a nice interactable file display, solid search as well. So we can do this. And I find that oftentimes this is much faster than the default Windows search, but if you want, you could also navigate in a regular manner. So for now, let's just choose this folder. This is going to be my test folder. There's 19 files in it, and I'm going to go start a chat with this. So I'm going to go to Start Chat. Now we have this preview as well as these buttons down here. So first of all, we have temporary chat, and this is such that we can start a chat and not save it, sort of like a quick throwaway. And save chat is if you want to save it to disk so you can come back to it later. So let's start with this. So I'm going to call this my new chat. So start. And give it a second to sort of complete the embeddings and get the initial response. And now it works like any other chat app. You can just ask it any questions you want. I'm going to ask an example question here. Oops. And you await the response. It should come in a few seconds. Okay, so we have our response, and then you can ask anything you'd like regarding your files, and it will give you an answer within a timely manner. So now let's discuss these 4 buttons that we have down here, starting with Add Context Files. So this one is just a modal that helps us select files to guide the search better. As of right now, the search is able to automatically detect which files are necessary in order to give you the answers. But if you find that the answers you're getting are not quite what you need, or perhaps are a little distracted, you can actually help guide the engine by giving it exact files, which will appear down here. And every time you send a message from now on, these will be used as an explicit reminder to the search engine to look at these files specifically. And this is just a way you can help guide the search to get you better results. Now, if we go to the next one, which is knowledge base, this is a way in which we can add files that aren't necessarily bound by a folder. So, for example, let's start creating an example. So I'm going to go to add files here. I'm going in here. I'm just going to add some random files. So I'm going to add these. And I'm going to say my new KP. Right? So I'm going to save this, and essentially this is now its own file set, and I can take this anywhere I want and add this to any chat. So if I press attach here, these get added to this chat specifically, and every time you reopen it, it will be already attached. So this is just another way in which you could have sets of files that you could attach to any chat in order to get extra context. So if you have, for example, a certain set of files from different places that have to do with one thing, you could create a knowledge base out of them and then attach them in this manner. And the neat thing is, if you go back to add context files, you can now see them here and add them explicitly as well. The next button is the thinking mode. And if you recall back when we were on the website, you saw how the license card showed that a standard mode does not have thinking mode, and this is what it was referring to. We got advanced, so we have access to this, but if we were in standard mode, this would just be grayed out. So thinking mode, essentially, this is how you turn it on or off, is when you have it on, thinking mode uses a better search mechanism as well as a better filtering mechanism in order to give you more well thought out answers. As I mentioned earlier, this does, however, take a little more time to process as well as slightly more tokens. So use that with care. Finally, we have update embeddings. And this is for if you are working on your files while you have this chat open. Say you have a folder, or rather a file, and then you change some content and you really want that to be included in the chat. You could press update embeddings, and that will automatically include the content that you changed into the back end of this chat, such that it will now be aware of the new changes. Keep in mind, however, if you were to say close this and then reopen this chat via this the loading mechanism, this happens automatically. So you don't always have to press this when you open a chat. This is just for if you are within the chat while you change something. And speaking of which, let's go to load existing chat so you can see how the loading works. So here we can see our chat that we were working on, my new chat. And if I want, I can look at info. I'll see the files included, including some information on when it was created, last modified, etc. And of course, if I want to, I can delete it, and if I can load it again. And here we are, exactly what we had before. The knowledge bases are still attached, and everything is just as it was. So you could close this app, come back, and then reopen this chat and go from where you were before. Now let me show you one of my favorite features of Folion, which is the ability to save an embedding set. So let's come back to the desktop here. And let me explain what this means. So when we started a chat earlier, our search engine starts compiling a set of embeddings in the background for it to use when doing the search itself. This, however, could be costly. For our example, which is rather small, that didn't really matter. It took maybe 1 or 2 seconds. However, if you have a large number of chunks of data, that could take increasingly longer amounts of time. So instead of always fronting the cost at the start of a chat, you could now create an embedding set once and then use it as many times as you want to create any number of chats. So here, I'm going to select the same test folder. And before I went to start chat, but this time I'm going to go to create embeddings. And here it's a similar preview to the start chat, except now we only have this one. And here I'm going to create my new embedding set, is what I'm going to call it. And you're going to see a similar sort of parsing here. So now what happens is we're brought here, and this looks very similar to the load chat, except this is what you get when you go to load saved embeddings. And this essentially is a method in which we could use this to create any number of chats we want. So I'm going to go to load, and now we're brought to a screen that's very similar to the start chat, temporary or save chat. And since last time we used the save chat, let me now show you a temporary chat. So as you can see, this is significantly faster than before, and this is exactly what I was talking about. If you had a set that took, for example, 10 minutes to embed, now instead of creating a chat for that every single time and incurring that 10-minute cost, you can now just create it once and then use that one set to continuously create as many new chats as you like. And of course, don't worry, if you do change your files after you change your or create your embedding set, then they do automatically get updated when you use it to create a new chat. And finally, we have knowledge bases, which is honestly just pretty much a replica of the knowledge base that we see in the chat down here that I showed you earlier. And this is just another place in which you can create, edit, or delete your knowledge bases. And this can be done outside of the chat feature, so you don't actually need to be in here. But this is just another way that you can do that. It's on the sidebar here. Now, before we end, let me show you one final thing. So if we come back to settings here, now we can see that the token cost has gone up now that we've experimented a little bit with our chat feature. As I mentioned earlier, once this exceeds the allotted amount defined by the license that we chose, then your license will be considered expired or revoked, and you will be met with that activation modal again, asking you to give a new license key. Now, to finish off, let's go over some common mistakes or just things to look out for in general. For one, as you probably saw, Folion can use any number of files from your file system. However, it should be noted that if you use larger files or a larger number of files, it could be the case that this starts to slow down Folion and its processing. For example, it could mean longer embedding times, it could mean longer search times, and it could also mean that your memory usage goes up. So for now, I recommend using the minimum number of files required for your queries to get the best results. And further, as of right now, Folion only works with text-based files. So that would include PDFs, docs, text, any code files, and any other text-based files. Things like images and videos do not currently work. Although you could select them and move forward to the chat with them, they won't actually be used for the question and answers. And that's the end of the tutorial. If you've liked what you've seen here and want to try it out for yourself, please consider checking it out at www.folionapp.com. Thanks for watching and have a good day.